sitting here, our guest of honor will be sitting here, okay? It's not me. I'm not going to sit on that chair, but you can imagine who's going to be sitting on that chair in a few minutes. On behalf of the governor, thank you so much for being here this afternoon. I'm Dave Hardy. I'm the Secretary of Revenue for the governor, and my job at the Capitol is very simple. I count the money, okay? That's what I do. And I keep track of the state's budget. The state's budget's large and complex. It's right at $6 billion. So there's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts. Let me tell you about my journey with the governor. Those of you that don't know me, which will probably be most of you, I was a Kanawha County Commissioner for 16 years. And in January 17, the governor said to me, come up and be the Secretary of Revenue. So I came up and we were sworn in on Martin Luther King Day 2017. And we sat down and we started looking at the state's financial reports. The first report they handed us, it had red ink on it. And I thought, oh, that doesn't look good. First report was for fiscal year 17. We were halfway through at that point. And it said we were $217 million in the red. I thought, wow, that's not good. Then our budget director handed us a second report. Fiscal year 18, we were projected to be $497 million in the red. So my East Bank High School mathematics, I added those two numbers together, and I said, oh my goodness, we're $700 million underwater the day we got there. Now, I'm going to move you 5 years forward to June 30th of 2022. June 30th of 2022, from a fiscal standpoint, was the greatest day in the history of West Virginia's finances. We closed our books this year. We were $1,308 million surplus for fiscal year 22. The governor's not here yet, but I think he deserves a round of applause for that. The governor moves fast. He said, what should we do? I want to cut taxes. So we did our research, and here's what we found. Out of 50 states, there were 9 states that don't have state income tax. Those 9 states in the last 10 years have literally grown in population twice as fast as the rest of the United States. And these are states that you'd be familiar with for the most part. I'm talking about Tennessee, one of my favorite states, Florida, Texas, Nevada, Alaska, Wyoming. You may not have gone to Alaska, Wyoming. South Dakota, those are states. They grew twice as fast. The economies in those states grew 56% faster than the economies in the other 41 states. Then we started looking at the latest research on telework. Telework's here. It's here for good. And teleworkers are smart. They want to work out of their homes. And this is a great opportunity for West Virginia because we all know what a great quality of life we have here. And teleworkers are looking around and they're looking hard because they want to move to states where you have low crime, great quality of life, low cost of living, and guess what? Low taxes. So we started looking at that trend, and the governor said, let's swing big. Let's put a plan in place to start eliminating the state income tax in West Virginia. Now, that's not something you do quick. It's a big job. So he said, let's call a special session legislature in July of this year, right after we close the books. And let's cut the state income tax 10% immediately. All West Virginians will get an immediate 10% income tax cut, which is a lot of money. It's $271 million that would have gone into everybody's pocket in 2022. First step toward a big goal. It passed the House of Delegates in one day. One day. Unfortunately, our West Virginia State Senate would not even take up the bill. This was the second week of July this year. They wouldn't take up the bill because of Amendment 2. Now let me tell you about Amendment 2. In November of 1932, the people of West Virginia, in a landslide, voted to put in our Constitution that property tax revenue will stay local. That's the property tax revenue that funds our courthouses, our fire departments, our sheriff's departments, and funds all the other essential services in our state. Amendment 2, that's my cue to get off here quick. Amendment 2, which the governor will talk about shortly, is not in the best interest of people of West Virginia. It will wreck our state's budget, and it will take away the constitutional guarantee that local governments have. I'll let the governor elaborate more. Let me introduce you to the man who always tells the truth, who set a record this year for our state revenue, the Honorable, the 36th Governor of West Virginia, the Honorable Jim Justice.
How y'all doing? And thanks to our Secretary running that day. Great job, I'm sure. And so we can take this off the table real quick. When I'm done, baby doll, get over here. Where are you going? We're done. Okay. And when I'm done, she knows her snack over here. Baby, get over here. But anyway, when I'm done, if y'all want to come up and say hi to baby doll, I'll sit right here. She'll say hi to me, okay? Now we got that off the table. All right, we got to get her over here. Get in here. What are you doing? Okay, you stay there just one second, okay? Okay. Okay, let me go at this a little bit different than I normally do. What do you think Amendment 2 is about? Instead of me just talking, tell me what you think it's about. I mean, just average, everyday people, what do they think it's about?
We've heard two different stories about it.
But originally, what you thought it was really about was getting rid of your car tax problem. You know, that's most generally what people think. Now, if that be the case, and you have any level of trust in me, let me just tell you just the straight skinny about the whole thing, okay? Here's the thing. Amendment 2 doesn't have a thing in the world to do with your car tax. Nothing. And if you believe that, you're complete crazy. You know, but you've been hoodwinked to believe that that's what it's about. Now, in my opinion, I put a little medicine on her nose and everything. Maybe she didn't like it. Okay, well just chill out there, okay? I got your nose all red, didn't I? Okay. Here's the whole deal. A year ago, maybe more than a year ago, Senate leadership came up with this glorious idea to get rid of your machine and inventory tax. Now, along the way, even prior to that, when there was no chance of getting rid of your personal income tax, I was in favor. Because I never dreamed there was a way to get rid of your personal income tax. And at that point in time, 2 years ago, who would have ever really thought that Berkshire Hathaway or Nucor or Pure Watercraft or Green Power and all, who would have thought all these companies would be coming here to West Virginia? Well, so if you factor all that in, then you've got to step back and say, well, wait a minute here, we've got these ungodly surpluses now. We could get on a pathway, a prudent pathway, to get rid of your personal income tax. We could do it. And not only that, we could absolutely, with all in us, we could do all of this without changing the Constitution. So then, to this man right here, Secretary of Revenue, and myself, we came up with a way to get rid of your car tax, and without affecting the Constitution. See, Amendment 2 is just this. Amendment 2 is you giving up your rights and you giving up your independence. Now, you can say what you want, but that's all it is. You are giving, you're signing away your soul to Charleston. That's what you're doing. At the end of the day, we can get rid of your car tax, and so we wrote the bill. We wrote the bill how to do it, and we can do it tomorrow if the Senate and the House agreed to it tomorrow. We could have that done. And what it does is just this. You still pay your car tax, and electronically you're doing that for the most part. And when you do that, that quick, I mean not months or days later, that quick, he refunds you dollar for dollar, cent for cent right back into your bank account. Now that's what would happen. So the car tax you get, period, no matter what, no matter what. And literally, when you pay that car tax, we're paying this back to you from the gross revenue, the surpluses of the state. Still, your car tax goes to your county, where your county can do the things that they do all the time. And you don't get rid of the machinery and inventory tax right off the get-go. And you just step back and breathe just a second. Just breathe. And then say, okay, can we not rationally come up with a way to get us on a pathway of getting rid of your personal income tax? Now look, how did this idea get hatched to do what they've done? Here's exactly what it is. Now we can say what we want in 1,000 different ways. You've got the Senate president that wants to run for governor. And you've got big business, Dow Chemical, Walmart, whatever it may be, that's pushing the Senate president to get rid of your machinery and inventory tax. So you have all these promises that are made. And the finance chair would love to be the president of the Senate. So you've got all these promises that are made. I'll back you in your campaign fund, I'll back you in your election campaign, I'll back you, I'll back you, I'll back you. So then, the next thing that's got to happen is, they got to find a way to get you to vote for it. I'll say what you want, but that's what they got to do. So they say, vote for Amendment 2 and we'll get rid of your car tax. And then it becomes just that. Now they tricked you. And they knew it. And they were proud of it. They walked around everywhere and bragged about it. Because you wouldn't be smart enough to catch it. 4 weeks ago, it would have passed 85 to 15. Once it passes, just ask yourself just this. This is like term limits. Do you really believe the legislature, if this passes, will ever vote a resolution through again to let you vote again, to take it back? You crazy? There's no humanly way that that will happen. So, now what you've got to bid on is this. If you want to fund your county, every February you're going to have to go to Charleston and line up with all the other counties. And you're going to have to beg for money. I'll promise you to God above, that's what's going to happen. And if absolutely this happens, and put it in the back, between the car tax, which we'll get rid of for you, promise you, to God above. But with the car tax and the machine and inventory tax, it's probably between $500 and $600 million. If the utilities are able to get into the machinery and inventory tax, and right now it's perfectly possible that they can, then it becomes $700 million. That's going to be sucked right out of the government, all the revenue. Now, when that happens, if we have any bump in the road, then we're going to be upside down. Anything. I don't care if it's severance taxes or it's PEIs underfunded or pay raises or matching dollars with the federal government to bring highway jobs in here. I don't care what it is. And the second you're underfunded, then the legislature has no recourse but to look right back at you and say, well, we can't fund you. Can you do 80%? Can you have 80% of the police force or 80% of the firemen or 80% of the money going to the schools? Because that's all we're going to be able to do this year. And so now you're really upside down. You basically gave these big giant tax breaks to giant corporations and many of them out of state. Now, again, like it or not like it, I'll bet giant bucks on this one. Who in this room benefits more from this passing than anybody? Who benefits more if this passes than anybody?
You, business.
Me. Me. And I'm the guy sitting here saying, don't do it. Don't do it. Because you see, I didn't sign up for this for me. That's the real difference right there. They want something for them. That's the swamp. I don't want anything for me. I signed up to serve for you. Now, it would literally be millions of dollars every year from now on to me. And whether you believe this or not, God knows it would be really beneficial. It's not the thing to do. It will stop, period, the possibility of giving money back to our working families that are hurting and with inflation eating their lunch. It will put at risk our law enforcement, our firemen. It will hurt our schools. And literally, at the end of the day, you didn't know it, and neither did I. You see, in July, I came up with this idea. I said, well, let's do a 10% tax cut out of the surpluses and give it back to the people. That's $254 million. They're hurting. My God, living gas prices are $5. Grocery prices are off the chart. Give it back to the people right now. Call a special session. First day, one day. House passes it. Boom. I said, well, we're done. I mean, this is over. Then it just stopped. And I said, good Lord, what's happened here? What is going on? I mean, are you kidding me? Republicans are not for a tax cut? What is going on? And the deeper I dug, the more it stinks. And that's all there is to it. And it's primarily driven by a couple of folks. A couple of folks that wield a lot of power. And you've got a lot of great legislatures that literally are standing on the fence or supportive because they're afraid. Literally. As sure as I know my name. Now let's be really fair. Why am I here? Why am I not bow hunting today? Or why am I not doing other things to try to recruit the next Berkshire Hathaway? Why am I here? You know, at the end of the day, I could ride every parade, I could cut every ribbon. My Lord, Olivia, if you were dead honest with yourself, you would stand on the sideline and say, greatest governor we've ever had. Took over when things were bankrupt, took us through the pandemic, tourism's exploding, diversification, we're doing it, we're doing it, we're doing it, we're doing it. And literally, I could just ride to the finish line, ride the wave, and wave by. Put millions of dollars in my pocket, and wave by. Now I'm going to say something you may not like and whatever, but if you don't, that's okay. My dad used to always say all the time, son, if I know, and the good Lord knows that's all it needs to matter, that's all that matters. And really, I know this, and the good Lord knows this. You see, I really believe He made me Jim Justice for a reason, and He made all of you who you are for a reason. I believe that. Now, and I believe if I sit on the sideline, ride the wave, say bye, put the money in my pocket and everything, He looks right back at me and says, I'm not happy with you. And that's the end of the story with me. And so that's why I'm sitting here. I don't want anything. I'm sitting right here telling you that if you believe what I'm telling you and you don't get really busy and get all your friends and in-laws and outlaws and everybody around you there and stop this, you will regret it forever. It is the single biggest issue. Now, this is tough for me to say. You think when I walked in bankrupt, and we've been battling to get to where we are. Walk in, pandemic. Walk in, the roads are all to crap and everything in every way and all that stuff. Tourism is upside down, everything under the sun. Lots and lots of stuff we've done. This is the most important thing of my governorship. Because it's going to kill you. It's going to kill you. And I love you. Now, Bobby Pruitt down at Marshall said it the very, very best of all the world. And here's what he said. He said, here's all there is to this. And it's looking at y'all saying, y'all give me all your money. I'm Charleston. I'm absolutely a bunch of politicians here. Y'all give us all your money. We'll take all your money and we'll take complete control. And we promise we'll give it back. Now, if you believe that, Baby Dog's got oceanfront property in Kansas that she'll sell. You know, you can't possibly do this. And I don't think it's going to pass, but I don't know. Let me give you a great example. See this fellow standing at the door? He's one of the troopers on my detail. His name's Joe. On Saturday evening, about probably 15 till 6, I was going to go to the blind and bow hunt a second. And I was getting my camouflage all on. He was standing there. He said, one of my buddies just went and early voted. And he said, and I said to him, well, surely to goodness you didn't vote for any of those amendments, did you? And he said, no way I voted for any. Well, I voted for the one to get rid of my car tax. Didn't you tell me that? Yes. That's how you can lose this. That's how you can lose it. So at the end of the day, you know, if you're it, no tackbacks, you best better really, really get to work. Because here's the very bottom line of the whole thing. I'm on a short fuse. 2 years from today, I'll be long gone. The odds are this is not going to blow up for 2 years. It may very well blow up this evening. Let me tell you how it can blow up today. Here's how it can blow up today. If we had this pass today, and we went outside and got in our vehicles, turned the radio on, and Putin in Russia put off a nuclear weapon in Ukraine, the stock market would drop to 9,000 just like that. When that happens, your 401ks are in real trouble, and without any question, the rainy day fund is in real trouble. We've got to put money in the rainy day fund then, and you very well may not have the money to put in it. Let me tell you, without any question to God above, something will happen. It always does to all of us. Stuff happens all the time. Well, when stuff happens, you don't need to have lost your independence for nothing, because you didn't even know. You didn't even know. Now that, to me, is the worst of this whole thing. We have basically tricked the voters and purposely knew it. And that's terrible. And thank God above, I wasn't a party to that. Because that's terrible stuff. Now, I'll let you ask me anything you choose to ask. Yes, sir.
Let me share my thoughts on this, okay?
Okay.
As an elected official, plus there are many of them here right now too. My problem is basically this bill, number 2, will cause heartbreaks and heartaches. And why? Because all these people in this room, if they have a problem, a local problem, they're not going to be able to get help in Charleston. We, local officials from every office, that door is open all the time. You can walk in and air your problems and get an answer. And If that answer is good enough, like in this county, you want the assessor, you can go to the commission and you can listen to that thing. And you know yourself, we have called your office on many occasions for other problems. But we will not be able to do that. The legislature controls our money. It'll be like business, the restaurant business. If everybody pays with a credit card, you actually do not have money in the bank until they put it in the bank or they want to give it to you. I resent that because I think local officials have done a good job. We're audited all the time. You know that yourself. We are made, not made, we are expected to do it the best job we can, and I think we do that.
I know you do. I know you do. I mean, I know hands down, you know 1,000 times better what to do here than we know in Charleston for what you do. I mean, and Jimmy, the only difference in what you're saying is one thing, and it's just this. You know, if everybody pays with a credit card, you got to wait till the money comes. But the problem is, with what your scenario is, or analogy is just this, is if the credit card company goes belly up or something, then they're going to call you up on the phone and they say, we can't send you all the money that you're supposed to get. And then what do? I mean,
well, some of them do that now. They postpone it and go out because they're glitching somewhere.
Okay, there you go.
My problem too is that if our police and fire need vehicles and things like that, you know, I think that if we had cash flow, we could work on that. If you don't have cash flow, you're not going to do it. Nor will you be able to call your local representative in Charleston and say, I need, how can we get this money? It's going to have to be a vote one way or another, or set up some sort of procedure where it's fair and equal. And I don't think anything will be fair and equal out of Charleston. I don't mean that in a bad way.
Now, how many representatives do you have from Wood County right here? I mean, how many, not here, but how many do you have in Charleston? You know, you've got, you know, how many do you have? I mean, you've got probably 4 or 5, counting your senators and delegates.
About 8.
You got 8?
About 8.
About 8, okay. Now think about it. Think about it just for a second. You know, there's 134 down there. You know, what if they just decide that Wood County is not really top priority, and maybe other counties are, or some, to do some level of disproportionation or whatever it may be? Look, my whole thing, 1,000,000 trillion to 1, is it's as simple could be. You got people out there dealing with $5 gasoline. Do we not think with surpluses of $1.3 billion that we ought not give those folks back some money? You know, absolutely your car tax should be given. That's a given. But we should give them some more money. That's A. B is we need growth of people. Now, if you look at the Tax Foundation, which is what everybody uses as the God of gods on what taxes are about. The Tax Foundation just came out with a report like 2 days ago and said West Virginia is ranked 20th in the nation with all the other states on tax climate. And all the states around us, Kentucky was 18th, so we're close to being tied with Kentucky. But we're so much better than Ohio, and we're so much better than Pennsylvania, it's off the chart. They're 33 and 37. Well, where's the first? It's Wyoming. You know, where's the second? It's South Dakota. Where's the third? It's Alaska. Where's the fourth? It's Florida. Where's the seventh? You know, it's Nevada. What do all those states have? No income tax. You know, why in the world can't we be smart? And we can't because of greed, individual greed, wanting something. You didn't even know it. You couldn't have possibly even known it. I didn't know it. It seemed benign to a lot of legislatures. It seemed pretty much benign to me. And then all of a sudden, it's right in our face. What's going on? Let me tell you, all of y'all, it's important to all of us. but it's more important to her than anybody. That's all there is to it. This beautiful little girl right here. And that's really what we're here for. Now say what you want, but she's what we're here for. And at the end of the day, we're really not doing right by her. And you've been tricked. And I think that's bad. That's really bad. Yes, sir.
Governor, you're reaffirming why I supported you when you first ran 6 years ago and spoke on your behalf. And you understand what our two county commissioners here and our mayor of Vienna and the others understand, that if we give money back to those big corporations that don't need it and they're out of state anyway, and take it away from the county, we're not going to be able to have patrol cars for Sheriff Woodyard. We take away from the city, and Randy's over there trying to get city policemen hired, and we can't even get enough money to hire policemen with the budget we have. We take away their money. We take away money from the Board of Education. We won't be able to keep the teachers we have, much less give them the raises they deserve. So thank you for your voice on this, because nobody else was getting the message out.
Well, you're very kind. You're very kind. And it's easy for me, but I mean what I tell you a lot. It's really good. Well, let me go to the fellow in the back first. Yes, sir.
I'm just curious, you're focusing on Amendment 2, and you mentioned earlier to your friend, don't vote on any of the amendments. Is that your position? No on all four?
No, that's not really. You know, here's what I think. You know, first of all, if I were to vote tomorrow, you know, I would evaluate at every level of all these amendments, is Charleston wanting to take more power? And I would really look really hard at that, because I can't see any good coming from Charleston with more and more power. Now let me just say this, from my standpoint, the number one responsibility I think that I've always had is to make sure the economics are right in the state. If the economics are right, then we can provide services, we can do all kinds of good. I got to get the economics right. Amendment 2 will blow the legs off the economics. And that's why I'm telling you so strongly about Amendment 2. Now, let me tell you, I think it's Amendment 3 that deals with the churches. And I think the churches, you know, from the standpoint of being able to incorporate the LLCs or whatever like that to avoid liability or whatever, I think we're the only state in the country that is left that doesn't give them the right to do that. You know, I will probably vote for Amendment 3. You know, from the standpoint of the others, I would just say just this, you know, from education, I really believe that our educators, you know, and the system in place, and I'm with them all the time, these aren't crazy people. These are good people. We should do better in education without any question. My gosh, we've got to get our test scores up and everything just like everybody. But I just ask you just this about education, and be real again, be fair. Because you got me here, you got to listen to me run my mouth. If you go to any 4th grade elementary school, I don't care, go to any of them, and say to the kids, individually, what do you think of your teacher? I'm going to tell you those kids overwhelmingly say, oh, we love Miss Allen. She's the greatest of the greatest of the greatest. And then if I were to come to all y'all and say, whether it be one of your middle schools or elementary schools or it be your high schools or whatever, if I said to you, what do you think of your high school in your community? Most people are going to say, well, that's really important to us, and we love our school. Well, listen, if the educators have got it wrong, I mean, there's one lot right about if the kids love the teachers and you love your schools, there got to be something good going on. And so the only way that I think that I could see a yes vote, you know, that would allow Charleston oversight of the education system is you've got to believe that we're going to have some meteorite hit us and we're going to become California. And we're going to have stuff in our schools that we don't want in our schools and whatever it may be.
We have that.
Do you care, can I give you some papers that I have?
Sure.
Okay.
Related to that, sir, we do
I'm
have that
actually
now.
glad
There's a
that
lot
you
of
brought that up,
indoctrination
because
going on in the schools.
In our public schools and our public libraries, this information is there. And I know you love this little girl. This little girl can go to a public library. She can check this out without her mother. This next page is the state law that breaks that code. $25,000 fine, 5 years in a correctional facility. I'm asking you to stand up for that little girl right there. Please do it. Please speak out for the children of the state of West Virginia.
Well, let me tell you this. I'll read every bit of this and you can very well change my mind, because I really do believe there's a tremendous amount of really great stuff going on in the schools. But I am adamantly opposed to this kind of stuff.
Thank you.
Adamantly.
Thank you.
Can I follow up on that?
Sure.
The state law, when you read it, it has 2 exemptions, one for a bona fide school in the presentation of local or state approved curriculum. The second is a public library or museum which is displaying or distributing any obscene material to a minor, only when the minor was accompanied by his or her parents. So my question to you is, if an accommodation is made with the public library that circumvents that in any way, would that set precedence so that adult bookstores and liquor stores can then accommodate a child in those types of purchases as well, or those types of transactions as well?
Well, you got to know me this way. I'm not going to give you any just dance around answer. But I'm going to tell you what I don't really know. And in all honesty, it's a very valid point. And God knows I hope to the good Lord above that we couldn't get that bad. But it is a valid point, and it's a could be. And so I get it. I just get it. I mean, I don't know specifically, how, to give you a legal opinion as to if that's a yay or nay. But
Well, that code is 618A-3.
It's in that document I gave you. Please stand up for the children of the
Yes,
state.
sir.
listen, let me tell you this, and you got to know my soul. I mean, anybody that's hauling around a 60-pound brown bulldog, loves our kids beyond good sense. And I don't want one earthly nothing bad to happen to our kids.
That's robbing their innocence.
Governor, I too have been on this ride with you since you began. From the first time, and from me and when I met you.
Right.
When I first met some of these people over here that's handing you the information to talk to you, I thought they'd done lost their cheese off the cracker. That's the truth, and I told them that. But then I got to know them. I got to watching what they're doing, and got to looking at some of the presentations in the literature. It is definitely worth a deep dive in.
We'll do it.
Thank you.
We'll do it.
That's a follow-up, please, on Amendment 4. When we have the state superintendent of schools saying that the Board of Education is like a fourth branch of government,
Right.
I think we most definitely need to pass Amendment 4 so that they can teach the kids correctly. There's only 3 branches. The problem is there's no accountability to unelected bureaucrats. I can't even get the email addresses for the State Board of Education members, and neither can the senators for me. So I think on Amendment 4, please give that a lot more consideration.
Well,
So the
I sure
parents of
will.
the students have rights.
Governor,
They don't.
Could we get back on the subject of this meeting though? Can you tell people how much money is going to be taken away from the counties and the cities if this crazy
Sure.
amendment to?
Sure, but let me go back to this gentleman just 1 second and just say this to your point is well taken. And if you know me, I don't blow smoke at anybody about nothing. Your point's well taken. It has merit in many ways. I will tell you that in my heart, I really believe that our educators in general are good people. They're trying their very best in lots of different ways. They can surely do a lot better. We're pushing them to do a lot better. Remember, I'm the guy that walked in on day 1 and said we need to make education our centerpiece. On day 1, first day of the state, that's what I said. And without any question, we got to make real improvement. But more than anything, we've got to ensure the safety and mental safety and everything of our children.
Yes.
And I get that. I get every bit of that.
Thank you.
Now, getting back to Amendment 2, just real quick, and I just say, you know, I think the question was, how much money? Well, just think about it now. Again, when I walked in, I don't mean to, this is not braggadocious in any way, but we were upside down, major dollars. Now, and getting right side up, let me tell you this story real quickly. My dad died in 1993. And in all honesty, he was running one side of the company, and I was running a little teeny bit of the other side of the company. And he was running the lion's share of everything, and a lot of stuff he was doing I didn't have a clue about. And everything. Well, and I just worked and worked and worked and worked and worked and worked and worked. And then finally, you know, a year later, they bring me in our audit books. And there's tens and tens and tens of companies. And with all that being said, they put them right on my desk, and on the top, they put the combined statement of all the companies. And we made $19,000. $19,000. And there wasn't a living human being on the planet happier than me. Because I was petrified. Petrified. You know, $19,000. And I wasn't getting nothing. $19,000 is what we made. And I was tickled flat to death. Not very long ago, West Virginia was looking for $19,000. This amount that we're talking about here is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions that's going to be just sucked away from you. And literally, I mean, we can say what we want, but if we want to do the right thing for our schools, if we just suck the money away from our schools and everything else, we're going to have a real world of hurt. I mean, a world of hurt. And it just goes on and on and on. The other day at the county commission in Kanawha County, there was 5 police, you know, organizations. There was the sheriffs and the police chiefs of all the cities, and there was the city police, and I don't know what all that, 5 of them. And they gave me these letters where they were saying unanimously, you know, we support no on Amendment 2. Look, I personally believe that Joe Biden and what's going on in D.C., and I hope I'm not going to make you mad, but I think it's crazy land. And I think that we could very well lose our country. And I think if Joe Biden was my dad, I wouldn't allow him. I would not allow him to be the president because he's having a tough time. And so I'm just telling you, if we don't watch out, we're going to be in a real mess. Yes, sir.
We've got a local county fire fee within the county for all the volunteer fire departments. If this passes, will we lose control of that, how that money is distributed?
Dave, you got to ask.
It's collected locally and distributed locally.
This is how's that paid? Is that part of the property tax?
No, it's a total separate bill, sent out separately and collected separately. It's administered through the county clerk's office. We send bills into them. The fire department's never touched the money. They have the money, we send bills and they pay them.
Okay, this is like a separate fee from the property taxes?
Yes, sir.
I don't think that would be fair, to be honest.
May I add what he just, on the chief here, just looking at the volunteer fire department, that money has put rubber back on the fire trucks and allowed them to buy new fire trucks and better equipment and safety equipment for their firemen and better training. So that is a good thing that he's talking about. And we're very fortunate to be able to do that. He would agree, I'm sure you know that.
It saves a lot of departments.
Just to clarify, the fire fee is a separate bill and it will not be affected by this. What will be affected by this is the counties will not have money to put into the fire departments and the sheriff departments.
For our county, our county, just on our commission side, not including the education side, it would take $4.4 million out of our budget with no direct way from Charleston how they're going to get it back to us. You talk to them, they go, oh, it's all there. It's not there. They haven't passed it annually.
No. It's $500 million statewide, plus, $500 million plus.
That's if the utilities are not in it.
And that, if utilities are in it, it's somewhere between $650 and $700 million. Now, that means you have to go back to the legislature every year from this day forward, once a year, and say, this is trick or treat, so I'll use my trick or treat bag here. May we have our money back? No matter what happens, with it in the Constitution, it's guaranteed. It's been since 1932, guaranteed in the Constitution. That the
Didn't you
state-
say that number included the vehicle taxes though too?
Yes.
It does.
So-
the vehicle tax is about 130.
130
Yes.
of that?
That's right.
But you're gonna get the vehicle tax no matter what anyway. You're gonna get the vehicle tax from my stuff. The vehicle tax is not even an issue. Yes,
I
ma'am.
think you might have answered my question, but as somebody who doesn't really follow politics, it just wears me out. And I hang out with a lot of friends who don't follow politics. What makes it to me and say, well, but if I vote for this and I won't have to pay a car tax, what's the simplest, best explanation I can give them? Like, no.
Okay. First of all, you gotta believe something here, okay? There's no guarantee if this passes, you'll get rid of your car tax. There's none. I've written a bill already to rebate you back and get rid of your car tax for sure. And I'm sitting right here on this stool promising you to God above, you're not gonna have to pay your car tax. You know, that's not the issue at all. They're just plain wrong about that. You gotta assure them without any question, they're not going to have to pay their car tax. Okay? Now, what they're voting on is giving up their individual rights. Because your county has a right now, an income stream that's coming right into the county, and you're going to take that away if you pass this. You're going to take that completely away, then the county doesn't have an income stream. And the only way the county can get funded is go to Charleston and ask for the money. Well, and literally, when you take this away, you're giving this to me. You're giving it to Walmart or Dow Chemical or whomever. You're giving all these tax breaks to me. So you take away the county's money. The car tax is done no matter what. You take away the county's independence. You take away your independence. And then you give this big tax break to these big giant companies when you're hurting with inflation like crazy, and we ought to be giving the money to you. You know, that's it. That's the whole thing. Yes, ma'am.
I'm an elected official in Worth County, and our numbers may sound small, but the assessor put in on Facebook the other day that this will result in a loss of $580,000 in tax revenue for just Worth County alone. And he said it may be good for 5 years for us, but maybe not, and then what after that? Yeah. And I know there's a lot of people in Worth County, you know, we have a lot of small county, poor people in our county, and they're going to be excited to not have to pay that car tax. So the more we can explain it to them, you know, this is already happening and going to happen for them, you know, the better off it's going to be.
Well, think about this. And maybe, you know, let's just stay with the car tax just a second, okay? If this passes, then what happens is it goes, and then the Senate and the House, they can change the rules. At that point in time, they can change the rules. Let's just say the Senate proposes a certain plan and the House doesn't agree to it. Well, what happens to your car tax? You keep paying it. You know, it's just that simple. In my scenario, my bill's written, and my bill says, absolutely, you pay your car tax, and the minute you pay your car tax, we're going to give you the money 100% right back. And you don't have to change the Constitution. You don't change anything. Now, for those people in Worth County, and I grouse hunted all across Worth County when I was skinny and had brown hair, and loved Worth County to death, and there was a lot of grouse in Worth County at one point in time, you know. But with all that, and some of them didn't make it when I was out there too. Not many, but some. You know, but if I were to say to you, tomorrow, if you had to do it with $500 and some odd thousand less money, you're gonna hurt a bunch of people, aren't you? Why are we doing this? Just stay with that. Why in the world are you doing this? You're going to get rid of the car tax no matter what. Why are you giving up that level of independence? And it gets only way worse than that. Because at the end of the day, if we go upside down, and we will just as sure as I know my name, if you go upside down, then you're dealing with the police. And sir, the question you asked about the tax, you know, that wasn't involved really in this and all that. Think about this, everybody. Think about what happens. What happens is dupe happens, and along the way it will, and we're upside down on the state level, and they don't have the money to fund all the dollars back to all the counties. Okay? Now that's going to happen as sure as I know my name. The property tax will be gone, you know, and what happens if that happens at some point in time? Then the only recourse to be able to generate those dollars that you got to have on a county basis, the only recourse is, I bet you that today your property value, your personal property is assessed at a value, and you pay tax on it on a 60% of the assessment level. Is that right in Wood County?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what can the county do at that point in time if they don't have enough money to pay the policeman? What can they do?
It's a slow crawl getting that money back.
No, that's right. That's whoever said that. Who said that, sir? Yeah. Well, that's exactly right.
It'll take years to try to replace that income that way.
But
They limit you as to how much you can raise that each year.
well, okay.
But it will raise.
That's right. Your personal property taxes for your houses or whatever it may be will go up. So you just can't make it up. You can't make this one up. Your personal property taxes will go up. Your car tax is going to be taken off the equation. You're going to give up your rights. And we don't give a hoot about the working people. We're going to reward Jim Justice and Walmart. Now we can't be this way.
So you're saying that if we give Dow and DuPont and Walmart all their money back, that they're going to have to raise the real estate assessment ratio, and all these people in West Virginia are going to pay a bunch more in real estate?
Sure they will. They'll have to. Unless you believe this. If you believe that forevermore you're going to have utopia, and we're going to have surplus after surplus after surplus after surplus, nothing's ever going to happen. Coal prices are going to stay where they are. Gas prices are going to stay where they are. Nothing is going to happen. If you believe that, you're nuts. Because it will absolutely happen. And when it happens, and I tell people this all the time, you please. Now, I'm not a very pretty sight. And this stool is really, really sturdy. Now, and I got a bulldog right here. But I want you to look real close at me, because I'm going to tell you something I want you to remember. I want you to remember it forever. If you pass this, at some point in time, you're either mad now because they have deceived you and they've not told you the truth. You're either there now or you'll be mad at some point in time. You'll be really mad. And you know what I want you to do? I want you to remember this guy that's sitting on this stool today. And don't forget this image, because you're going to be really mad sometime. Sometime when services can't be supplied to our seniors, or to our firemen, or to our police, or to our kids, or this little beautiful girl, and on and on and on, you will really be mad. And you know what? I'll be long gone as your governor. Literally. But you'll run into me at Walmart. And when I'm going through Walmart, you won't want to see me, because I'll walk right up to you and I'll tell you, I told you so. And that's exactly what I'll do.
Just one clarification. In both cases, though, whatever bill, your bill, or if the legislature creates a bill, they both have to go through the same process. So the House and Senate can mess with your bill, they can mess with a bill that the House passes, correct?
That's right. That's exactly right. But let me tell you, they're not suicidal. They aren't completely crazy. Okay? Let's say this blows up, and I send up the first bill right off the get-go to give back your car tax. Do you think there's one of them that vote no? There's no chance. No chance on the planet. That's why I say unequivocally, your car tax is not even an issue. It's gone. It's gone. Yes, sir.
How did personal property tax come into this whole idea of a tax reduction? Because I pay something like $150 a year for 2 cars on personal property.
Right.
I pay $8,000 a year for income tax.
Right.
So how can you even talk about those two things in the same instance?
Well, you know, how does, let me answer it. How does Walmart advertise on TV to get you to come to Walmart to buy a Butterfinger? Because once they get you there, then they got you there, don't they? You know, oh, well. but really and truly, let's just think about this a second. The car tax, everybody hates paying their car tax.
Is this a registration tax every year?
No.
They're not.
The one you pay September 1st, that you have to give a receipt on to get your decal for your plate.
Yeah.
That's not.
Everybody, so that's the buying of the Butterfinger at Walmart. You know, it's just a bait. It's a trick, you know, and to get your vote. That's what's happened here, you know. And the worst of it all is they didn't even tell us. You see, because what's going to happen now is these big giant companies are getting what's really behind all this. And they are. Now, I mean, they are. In Kanawha County alone, I think DuPont's going to get $2.7 million. Well, I mean, I'm going to get millions. Millions. Literally. I mean, think about this. It's one of the coal companies that I know really, really, really well. 4 or 5 years ago, they were having a tough go of it and everything. They took bankruptcy. 55 coal companies took bankruptcy. Well, we didn't. But 55 did. It's been really tough. Really tough. But 55 of them did. They wrote off $1.7 billion, I think. Well, the banks and the vendors and everybody got stiff. Today they're making almost $100 million a month. And we're going to give them more money. A whole lot more money. Now that's what's happening.
That sounds criminal to me.
It's terrible. It's so terrible it's off the chart. That's why I'm here. That's exactly why I'm here. Your income tax ought to be cut. We have the ability to do that, and that would put real money right back in your pocket. When we put money back in y'all's pockets, you know what you'll do with it? You'll spend it. We all do. You'll spend it. We are then our own incentive program. We are. If you give it to Walmart, or you give it to that big giant coal company that's out of state and everything, the money's gone. The money's long gone. I do not think this will pass. Before, it had an 85% chance before I came out and started talking to you, because you didn't know. You know, there's an old saying, the Santa Claus deal. You know, first you believe in Santa, then maybe you don't. Before you know it, you are Santa. You know. Well, in this situation, really and truly, what happened along the way was, first of all, you didn't know. Now you know, and most people are mad. I'll tell you something else too. You know, no, I'm not going to go there.
Thank you, Governor.
I have a quick question.
No, please.
I was waiting until and not to change the subject, but I'm just curious on your future political plans, if you ever run for Senate, and what your thoughts are.
Hunting line looks awful good. Hunting line looks awful good.
What did you say?
Hunting line looks awful good, doesn't it, Governor?
Yeah, it does. It does. No, I'll tell you the truth. You know, I've really thought an awful lot about running for a national office. You know, I really have. And there's some appeal and different ones, there's different appeal and all that stuff. A lot of folks, you know, from all across the country talking to you and everything. There's a lot of folks, you know, talking to you really within DC or here about, you know, this or that and everything. At the end of the day, there'll never be an honor that I'll have any bigger than this, what it's been being your governor. There's no way. You know, so, I mean, we got, I'm sorry.
Don't do it.
Well, there's a lot of people that say, yes, you got to understand that our whole country's at stake. Now, and to give you both viewpoints, you know, you've got, now I'm speaking of Washington people, I'm not talking about good, great West Virginians, whether you be a Democrat or Republican, never mattered to me in the world. But if you just think about it, many of the Democrats, these nut job Democrats, and thank God they're just in DC primarily, but you know, a lot of those folks think we ought to be socialized or this or that. Everything in the world it's just one thing right after another, right? You know, whether it be another program, another program, another program, it'd be the border, it'd be Afghanistan, it'd be crime, it'd be all the different things that we don't really like. And on the other hand, you got the Republicans that believe that we're on the verge of losing our country, you know, and so, you know, one thing I am, and I don't want to smoke about this, I am a patriot. I really stand up for our country, and so I can't see how I'd fit in DC, but at the same time, you know, somebody's got to do it too. And so, you know, thank God that's a ways away. But I'd say, and I thank you so much for clapping. I mean this. You have been, you made me so proud. You know, really and truly. And I don't care a bit in the world about you being Democrats, Independents, Republicans. I've never cared. You know, I don't want anything. For God's sakes, I drive myself. The state police loses me all the time. When they don't know where I'm at, it drives them completely crazy. And you know, but it's been a real honor, because I'll promise you that we have become, instead of the laughingstock to the world a lot of times, the end of bad jokes or bad end of bad jokes, to where now, just think is one thing, for crying out loud, who would have ever thunk it, you know? Who would have ever, and to just use the slang term, thunk it, you know, ever, that West Virginia, that there'd be world travel guides that would say, West Virginia is the second most popular place in the world to come to. Who would have ever thunk it that we would have all these surpluses and all those orange cones all over everywhere, everything happening? And all I'd say to you is just this. It can still keep happening if you don't blow your own legs off. Jimmy, you want to say something?
I was just going to say, sort of, I'm cutting in two here, that from the first time, I hope other people feel the same way. From the first time I've met you, I have never left a room. This is put you in a category of a very wealthy, very good businessman who talks like your neighbor. And I have never left a room when I was in a room with you and did not feel better and brightened my tomorrow. I mean that, sir.
You're very kind, and I'd say the same thing. I've never left a room of West Virginians that didn't give me the energy to keep at it, You see, I run on you. I really do. And I'll charge up any mountain, anywhere, and I'll take the airs and take the crap. But the one thing I got to see you when I look back there. I got to see you halfway running with me. And that's all I got to have. Man, you're so good. And let me end this by just saying this. And young lady, I want you to hear me really clearly. What's your name?
Riley.
Riley? Can you come up here today? Riley, you just stand right here beside me. Okay? Get on over there close to me. Now, I told you a minute ago, this is why. This is us. This is why we're doing this, all the stuff we're doing. But anyway, if I could just tell you just this, that at the end of the day, Riley, you always remember this.
Okay.
Okay? And I want all your moms and dads and everybody here to remember the same thing. You don't have any idea how good you are. You're the best of the best of the best of the best. You're low crime, you're faith-based, you're hardworking craftsmen. You're the very, very best neighbors. You're the best of the best of the best. You got 4 of the greatest seasons on the planet, and you're located within a rock's throw of 2/3 of the population of the country. You are it. You are the very, very, very best. And you remember that, okay?
Okay.
All right, you go sit down. Okay, unless we got something else. I'll get baby dog on a chair if y'all want to come up and say hi to her.
Let's see big dog. Everybody got to see big dog.